and talented. The corporate world finds smart, talented people and promotes them into management. But many of these leaders never look beyond their own capability to see the full genius on their team. Have you ever worked around someone who makes you feel smarter and more capable? We call these leaders multipliers. Have you ever worked around someone who made you question your own intelligence? We call these leaders miniatures.
No.
When we hire smart people, they quickly put other people in the background. We have smart leaders, but they shut down the smarts of others. The miniatures come at such a high cost. They waste talent and intellect that sits right in front of them. Organizations can't afford diminishers. I worked in senior management at Oracle for 17 years, and I walked around a lot of really smart executives. I saw how some leaders literally shut down brain power in the people around them. Yet other leaders seem to amplify the intelligence of the people around them. These leaders were multipliers, intelligence multipliers. I saw this pattern with other executives, and I was determined to research this to find out why. My first discovery was my research partner, Glenn McEwen, at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Together, we studied 150 leaders in 35 companies over 4 continents in pursuit of one really big question. Why do some leaders drain intelligence while others amplify it?
So what did we find? We found that diminishers and multipliers did many things alike, but a small number of things differently. 5 in particular. Multipliers act as talent magnets, liberators, challengers, debate makers, and investors. Multipliers get so much brain power from their people that the workforce is essentially doubled for free.
Multipliers come from all walks of life, from corporate boardrooms to our school's classrooms. They are leaders like Mark Zioff, Bill Campbell, Mongari Mathai, and many more.
Thank you. It is so amazing. It's thrilling to be part of this incredible Christian community and to be part of an organization that's dedicated to strengthening leadership in the workplace, in our churches, in our communities, and in our home. And I just can't tell you how excited I am to share with you my research and my work behind multipliers that began with this very, very small observation. And as Jim mentioned, at my time at Oracle, where I could see that there was more intelligence inside of our organization than we could see with the naked eye. You know, there's more intelligence in our work teams, in our management teams, in our churches than we can see, and there's more intelligence than we are putting to use. You know, we have latent, unused intelligence all around us. And the idea behind multipliers, Jim did such a nice job describing it, is such a very simple idea. It's, as a leader, you can be a multiplier, and what that means is you use your intelligence, your God-given intelligence, your knowledge, your skill, your talent, your capability, your technical skills. You use that intelligence to amplify, to magnify, to multiply the capability of people around you. And the promise of leading like a multiplier, it's also a simple one, is that people around you do their best work. In Pastor Bill's terms, they give their full offering. And when you lead like a multiplier, people around you literally get smarter and more capable working for you. It's a simple idea. It's not always a common logic. Not long after the book came out, I was at a beautiful summer evening dinner party, and seated next to me at the round table outside was the CEO of a major employer in the Bay Area where I live. And he said, Liz, what's this multipliers idea that I'm hearing about? Oh, I was delighted for the question. And so I explained to him, these are leaders who use their intelligence to amplify, grow intelligence around them. And he, you know, this founder CEO said, yeah, I get it. These are people who multiply themselves out into their organization so other people do what they want them to do. I'm like, well, no, and kind of exactly no, and opposite. No, I don't think we have it. And so I very gently seized the coaching, teaching moments and re-explained this to him. They use their intelligence to amplify, to grow the intelligence of others. And he's like, my bad, I get it. These are leaders who multiply their ideas. I'm like, no, I think we're headed downhill from here. And so we stopped the conversation and we probably moved on to something like religion or politics that was easier for us to talk about because he had grown up in a very different logic. What was the role of the leader? To have the ideas, to get other people to do what he wanted done. Who was he trying to multiply? Me, if I could just get all of you to do what I want done, then we could fulfill our mission. It's about multiplying the capability of people around you. I'm going to just share a few of these leaders that we studied that I came to call multipliers. It was fun to study hundreds, and now getting into thousands of these leaders. They come from all walks of life. Let me just go over three really quickly, but while I'm sharing these leaders, would you be thinking about someone who was a multiplier to you? Someone around whom you were brilliant, you did your best work, maybe the best work of your career. I also want to ask you to be thinking about someone who was a diminisher to you. Now, for some of us, this is easier, and you might have a whole, just like a list, movie credit kind of list of names that you can choose from. So I just want you to be picking one. Let me share a few of the multipliers. The first, Larry Gelwick's 35-year career history with the Highland High School rugby team, high school rugby club. During that 35 years, the team won 19 U.S. national championships. They sustained a record of 410 wins to 10 losses, which might make him the most winning coach perhaps on the planet. He attributed this to this philosophy of asking his players, high school boys, to be intelligent on the field as well as off the field. Win or lose, he demanded that they simply play their best. Every game, every practice. He helped these young men find their genius, their capability, and he would put a label on it. One player, John, said, one coach, at one practice, Coach Gelwick just said, John, you're fast. You're a fast player. That's where we've got you in this position. Well, John had never seen himself as a fast player, but in the next practice, he found himself running harder and faster. And then the next game, when they needed speed to make the play, somehow he found it. He said, I became the fastest player on the team. That's Larry Gelwick. Wandari Masai, many of you are familiar with her work that led to this Nobel Prize, planting over 40 million trees in Kenya and across the continent of Africa. But her work began with 7 seedlings, and it began with working with this very small group of women in the village, seeing the deforestation, seeing the disempowerment of these village women, not able to have the water and the necessities they needed. She simply asked, why not plant trees? Help them build the capability to plant 7 seedlings to get started, not giving them, just starting with the seed so they can be self-sufficient. This went on to create this massive movement across a continent and across a world by seeing a possibility and seeing the capability. And then one from the business sphere, from kind of my hometown, K.R. Stridhart. He's the CEO of Bloom Energy. They make this amazing little fuel cell. When I'm talking to people about KR, they describe this work environment at Bloom Energy. They said, he creates this environment with tons of pressure, but almost no stress. Which baffled me, because in my days at Oracle, we did not make distinctions between these kinds of words. These are more synonymous to me, like pressure and stress. What is the difference between pressure and stress? We're going to do a little shouting for the next few minutes, and feel free to start now. What is the difference between pressure and stress?
Confidence and lack thereof. Yeah.
Pressure, something is internal. Pressure moves us forward, I think I heard. I was confused, so Pear explains the difference, and he says, Liz, are you familiar with the story of William Tell? Now, I brought this apple here to get us started. Maybe here to talk. Is there anyone in here who could give us a quick plot synopsis, the story, the legend? if you so think, of William Tell? He shot an apple off his son's head with an arrow. That is good enough for me. Would you be our William Tell? Now, it's a modeling job. So here's what I need you to do. Would you just come? You get to do two things. I need you to strike a glorious William Tell pose, but you also get to pick your son. Because he shot the apple off the head of his son. You know, he and his son were traveling in the Swiss Confederacy, didn't show proper respect for the overlord of the village, and he and his son were sentenced to death. Did you pick your son for us? Would you like me to pick one for you, or?
Please.
Okay, would you do the honors? Okay, so I just need you two gentlemen to do a little modeling here for us today. If you would, just come right out where we can see you. And I just need the two of you to strike the pose. Now, you know what you're supposed to do with the apple, right? Okay, but you're going to need a little help with this. Just, you got to turn around. Okay, now it's across the entire village square, so feel free to give it a little bit of space. So if William Tell will just strike this pose for us. Okay, now it was a crossroads that helped you. Okay, now where's my archer's pose here? Okay. Okay, if we freeze frame it here, in this scenario, William Tell feels pressure. His son feels stressed. What is the difference? Thank you, your modeling contract is completed. Thanks.
Oh, viewpoint. Yeah, that's good.
What's the difference?
View.
It's about control, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you do with the control that you have as a leader? Do you hold that responsibility so you feel pressure and the rest of your team feels stressed? How are we going to get this done? Or do you share this control? Those are just a couple examples of these multipliers. I want to ask you about who is a diminisher to you and who is a multiplier. Are you ready? Have you had a chance to think? Okay, I've got a few questions. I want you to start with the diminisher. Often that's easier. I've got two questions for you. First question, what did this person do? What could you observe in his or her behavior? I'm going to ask you to write this down. Just a couple keywords. Second question, how much of your intelligence was this person using? And I'm going to ask you to do this on a scale from 0 to 100, but it's a tricky question because I'm not asking you how hard you were working. Is it possible to be overworked and underutilized? You bet. Paul has got some nice things from music going on. I think he's chosen this as our diminisher theme music. Why don't you take 30 seconds, what is it your diminisher did, and then write down a number for me. I'm going to ask everyone to do this. Okay. Some of you might need a little more time to think of it, but I'm going to ask you to now think about who's your multiplier. Who is someone around whom you were brilliant? Best work of your career. What did they do? And then a number. What percentage of your capability did this person get? Why don't we take a few seconds? Again, write down a couple keywords and a number. Are you ready? Now, for those of you who are watching virtually, you can feel free to tweet this out to hashtag diminishers, hashtag multipliers. I'd love to see this. I want to hear from a few of you. What is it that your multiplier did? Well, actually, you know what? Let's start with the diminisher side. What did your diminisher do? And I'm going to ask you to just shout it out. They criticize. They belittle. They micromanage. They didn't acknowledge. They wasted time. They did nothing but email. They manipulated. Okay, those are different. I've heard those other. They put me in a box.